Everyone, thank you for attending our special Noodle class again. Well, we are broadcasting again from Yamato Noodle headquarters, Noodle manufacturing headquarters, Kagawa, Japan. My name is Akira, and this is me, my colleague, and we're making Yakisoba noodles today. And we're very excited again, like, cause this is something that's perfect for your delivery and takeout business, and it's definitely customizable for your customers too. So like it's very interesting topic. So let's get into this lecture part. Like I scribbled all this whiteboarded in, and apologize for not writing. Like I hope you guys be able to like kind of read some of these. Um, so you know, we've been saying, like most important aspect of the noodles, like in terms of like deliciousness, is like noodle texture. So we're using this chart, right? Using this chart, over and over, but like so basically the hydration ratio, like is like horizontal line, right? Horizontal line. So basically, like higher the hydration, like softer the noodle texture, right? And then like protein, that's vertical line. So protein content of flour that's used to make these noodles, right? Basically, higher the protein, the harder the noodle texture, right? So where our noodle, I mean yakisoba noodles are going to be, would be like something around here, like kind of big circle ranging here, like that means that there are some variations. There are some variations, right? I think it's gonna be like more like this, and then like so. There's like so that thinner, right? Like so, this is the noodle size. So it's like so this way like thinner, and that way thicker. Uh, so basic rule is like thinner, like smaller size noodles, that that harder the noodle texture should be, and the softer the noodles, right? And then the thicker the noodle size should be, right? Because of the good, more noodle texture, like noodle texture. If you have like a thin noodle and that's soft, then that's like not really white, right? So hello, everyone. Thank you for attending our class today. So my name is Akira, and we are broadcasting this class again from our Yamato headquarters in Japan, like that's in Kagawa Prefecture. My name is Akira, and this is Megumi and my colleague, and we're making yakisoba noodle today. Like that's stir fry noodle, like Japanese version, and we're very excited about it because this is. Something that's really casual and like that's like perfect for your delivery and takeout business, and and then that's really customizable for your customers, like they can pick whatever you want, like from your offering. So we are really excited to talk about it today, and so let's get into the lecture part first, and then we're gonna make some yakisoba noodles from scratch today. So yakisoba noodle, like stir fry noodles, it's I think we've been talking about like in the previous classes, like most important aspect of like noodles, right, is a noodle texture. Like when it comes like how good, like how delicious the noodle is. So all right, so we this is a chart that we've been using over and over, but like um, basically like this chart describes like different types of like the noodle texture and the noodle size, and there are like two variables, like actually three of them, to describe like different types of noodle, different noodle textures, and then this horizontal line, right? Horizontal line that represents the hydration ratio. It's like how much water you are putting into, the flour, right, to make dough. And higher the hydration ratio, like that was like this way higher, the softer the noodle texture, right? And then the vertical line, right? Vertical line is the flour, like protein of flour, we used to make these noodles, right? The higher the protein, the harder the noodle texture. And this is the noodle size. This side, right? You see, like the thinner up, thinner, down, thicker, right? And um, we think that like yakisoba noodles should be like somewhere between like this big circle Um, and then, well, yeah, this means that like there's the range, right, range of yakisoba noodles we can make is are rather like they're like there are many like it's a variation, right? There are many variations of yakisoba noodles out there. But basically the basically rule is that like thinner the harder, like the harder it should be, the thicker the softer it should be. Because like if you have like thin noodle and that's soft, that's just like it's not really good texture. Because like if you bite into like it doesn't give you like good bite, right? So if you're making thin noodle, then you should make it harder by increasing the amount of protein of the flour and decreasing the amount of water you add into the flour to make dough, right? So the noodle size and shape of the yakisoba noodles like typically can range from like 1.4 millimeter and the 2.5 millimeter, and the shape of it like typical like either square shape or like a round shape. And yeah, there's reason for like this noodle size like shouldn't go like like thinner than this or not, like so we're gonna talk about it later, but basically this is a typical like size and shape. and as I said, like it's easy to customize them. Like if you have like take a business, or like if you have a restaurant basically that have like well like basic like cooking appliances, like heating um, uh, like tabletop like range or something, like to heat up some or cook some meat or something. Then and if you have like a basic like utensils, like kind of well salted pan or something, then you should be able to like make all these like super noodles. Like, and if you are not offering them right now, like you can start it. But anyway, so the noodle size, like you can let the customers choose noodle size, type of noodle. Maybe you can, put in like a gluten-free version of it, option of it, and you can, let the customer choose the volume, right? Like if you like want like point point 0.5 serving, like one serving, like 1.5 serving or something, then we can let the customers pick the seasoning that they like original sauce, like the salt sauce, and then like we could probably have like maybe like miso sauce or something. You can make like develop like different types of seasoning sauces. The toppings, of course, like like different types of protein, vegetables, condiments. So it's very easy to like make a menu that's totally customizable for your customers. So that's you know that's really good for your menu items as well. And what's interesting about yakisoba noodles, stir-fried noodle, is that like there are two well kind of like process that like these noodles have to go through to to not turn into like final products. And so basically we have to do the first like kind of basic noodle prep methods, prepping like process like after they are made to fresh noodles. And then typically like there are like two basic methods, and like steaming and boiling. And you could steam or you could boil noodles. Like I'm sorry if like I suck at like drawing, but like this is like pretend like this is just thread of like strand of noodle, right? And being steamed right inside this like steam device, and like you have water like on the bottom, but like you have like something over it, and then like so the noodle is not touching the water. And there's a water vapor like kind of circulating, right? And like there's convection current, right? And then that's heating the noodle. And then like something like currency and like salt and like other ingredients like this kind of getting released from the noodle, and in exchange it's getting some moist, right? Some like water vapor, water, right? But it's not as much as when you're boiling the noodle, right? So when you boil a noodle, like, and then because of the heat and like the water, amount of water, there's like this phenomenon called like
gelatinization of starch is happening. So like um, the starch, right, starch of like the wheat, like containing the noodle, gets gelatinized, yeah, and then, like while it's getting boiled, and then becomes like this kind of glue-like the texture, right? And then when you're boiling the noodles, right, and then so well, there's a lot of like the concentrate that's like potassium carbonate, sodium carbonate, basically, and salt are getting released from the noodles, right? And then in exchange, like noodles getting absorbing all the water, like cooking water. So the amount of water absorbed is like really a lot greater, like when you're boiling noodles, and then the amount of heat applied is higher in like steam noodles, and then the amount of like ingredients released from noodles, like when you boil noodles, like the ratio is like a lot higher in the boiled noodles. So having said that, so like after we either boil or steam noodles, we stir fry them, right? We stir fry them, and then when we stir fry like steam noodles, and then because the steam noodles do not have a lot of water, right? A lot of water content, like but like it has like some water, right, like in the noodle surface, but like it just immediately gets evaporated from the heat. And this like noodle surface, right, noodle surface like outside, right, gets burnt, right, gets burnt. And as a result, like it has like so the all the noodle surface gets hardened, so that it's like hard, right? It's like it's almost like crispy, and but it's kind of like it's kind of trade-off, right, between like hardness and chewiness. And because it doesn't have as much water contained as like boiled noodles, the chewiness is not as much as like in boiled noodles. The boiled noodles have a lot of water, and then like even though like you stuff right in, like the the noodle surface like don't really, well, they get burned, but like not as much as steam noodles. So the hardness is not as much, compared to like steam noodles. So like it's kind of trade-off, like between like I don't know which one would you take, right? Like hardness or chewiness, or hardness or like crispiness or something, or like chewiness. So it's really about like which way you want to go, right? So depending on that, like you either steam noodle or like boiled noodle to make your yakisoba noodles. And so the recipe we have today is for boiled noodle yakisoba. And for the solid ingredients, we have wheat flour, that's protein content like 11%. That's somewhere around, up there, like we just talked about in the chart. And egg white powder. Egg white powder, like we usually use egg white powder for like tsukime. I mean, no, I'm sorry, like tonkotsu noodle, like Hakata style noodles, because it sort of like keeps water from like um, keeps the noodles like from getting like painted like from the cookie hot water, like kind of works as a kind of water proof. Like it's not really waterproof, but like kind of helps noodles retain their textures in hot water, hot soup. So we use them because the tonkotsu noodle is like really thin. So we want to use this egg white powder to retain, help the noodle like retain its texture like as long as possible, like in a hot soup. But we use it to use this egg white powder in this recipe to because like we are boiling the noodles, and like we are stir frying them like after that. And so it's gonna be a lot of water, right? And we don't want to like we don't want to have like the noodles, like we don't want to end up like having like the stir fried noodles um, kind of like watery, and then kind of like soaked in the water still. So like we want to make them like kind of as dry as possible. Like so that's the reason that we use this egg white powder as like just 2% putting in there, and the liquid. So hydration ratio, like that's 35%, and the water inside hydration, like this liquid, we have water, salt, and kansi, and yeah, the kansi, usually like we use, there are many variations of kansi depending on the what you look for, and what kind of effect you look for in the noodles. And but basically, potassium carbonate, sodium carbonate, the combination of it, and basically sodium carbonate, I mean potassium carbonate, like makes the noodle harder. The sodium carbonate makes the noodle softer. Like, and then potassium carbonate makes this like as is like kind of like unpleasant smell, but like the sodium carbonate doesn't do it right. So basically we change this ratio of like potassium carbonate, sodium carbonate, depending on which effect like you want to have more of, like on our noodles. So in this yakisoba noodles recipe, like we increase the amount of like sodium carbonate to have more of the effective like sodium carbonate on our noodle, I mean yakisoba noodles. And the noodle size is somewhat like kind of like medium, like or like medium, like or like thicker, maybe like thicker than the medium size, like 1.7 millimeter. And I think the thinnest like you can go like on X1 noodle will be like 1.4 millimeter or so, because like you have to first, you know, apply some heat, right, by like boiling them, like steaming them, like, and after that, like you have to, still you have to, stir fry them, right? And it's like it's a lot of stress, like these noodles have to go through. So the noodles have to be like strong enough, like withstand such stress, right? So the noodle size has to be like at least we think like 1.4 millimeter, like or thicker. So that's why the noodle size. And so the production methods, so basically the same, but like like based on the hydration ratio, the 35%, we consider it as like medium hydration ratio noodles. So that determines the mixing time. That's 10 minutes. And just going to like kind of same operation. And then after that, like we store the noodles, like, and then yeah, we boil them or steam them, and then like, well, yeah, maybe like we maybe like coat them, like coat the noodles with some oil or something, like then stir fry them. So these are the processes that yeah, we go through. But today's just up to here, right? So right, so that's the yakisoba noodles, and then there are many variations. So but we're just doing like just one type of yakisoba noodles today, and so let's get started on making some noodles, yakisoba noodle production. So again, like we have like Richmond War Machine. So so yesterday we did the gyoza, the dumpling, and yeah, this machine made beautiful dumpling wrapper skin yesterday, and so today we are making yakisoba noodles, and so these are the ingredients, and so the flour we have, right, like so we have like 11% protein, and so this is not a solid ingredients, and for those of you like who never seen it before, like it may be like weird for you, like then this egg white in powder form, and these two are salt and calcium, that these go into the water, right? So so first of all, like what we do is that like we just put the solid ingredients all of it like in a mixer, And this mixing unit is 10 kilograms. And so that means you can mix up to 10 kilograms of solid ingredients. Yeah, at maximum, right? So 10 kilograms, but like on top of it, you're adding liquid, right? On top of it, you're adding liquid. So so let's say that like the maximum hydration ratio that you can do is like 40%, 45%. So that's 4 kilograms, 4.5 kilograms of liquid, right? So adding on top of like the 10 kilograms of solid, so you get about 14 kilograms of dough at maximum. And so you need to dissolve salt and cancy like thoroughly in the water right before you add it to the flour. And the total mixing time is 10 minutes, but like what we do is that like we add like just two-thirds of the water, right? Just about a half would be fine. And then, mix it for 4 minutes first. And as you can see, like she put water like in the lid, like directly onto the lid, right? And then that the liquid like dripping through the holes, right? So that like it's not gonna be like you know like we are just like adding like all the water like at once, right? But just little by little, and to hydrate the flour, gradually. So basically, we are kind of aiming at good hydration of dough, and um, so when we prepared the dough in advance, the same recipe, and you may be able to notice that color change, color change, right? Color change like from the white, it was completely white, right? Completely white. Flour was white, egg white was white, and but like now it's like kind of yellowy, like a pale yellow. So this is the effect of cancer and like especially potassium carbonate. The alkaline substance that like that's contained in the potassium carbonate like actually colors the noodle. I mean the flour to a bit like pale like bright yellow. And so what we're doing is we're first making just a sheet of dough like out of this you know, crumbles of dough, and so we are feeding this dough to a set of rollers and making a sheet of dough and well and it's coming out from the other side. And so once she wind it onto the rolling pin, the stainless steel rolling pin, then it just automatically winds by itself. And so we're just making, first this sheet of dough that's still kind of rough, right? And then still fragile. Um, as you may be able to see, that's still like yeah, pretty weak. Like it's like easy to like rip. So, but it's a start, and from that condition of dough to this sheet of dough, then that's a big progress. So, and yeah, and we are like going really slow at this point, like on purpose, because we want to apply like really good pressure on the dough, and that volume you can adjust the roller speed, and yeah, but like at this point, like you just want to go slow, Apply good pressure in the dough and to develop the good gluten structure. Work on the work on the gluten development. So the 4 minutes is up. So after 4 minutes of mixing, we want to open up the lid and then just check the condition of dough and well, as you can see, like there are like some flours that dough like that are stuck in the blade walls, right? And yeah, we want to make sure like we just want to make sure that like they're like all mixed up well, so that um, all the dough, all areas dough like have well equal amount of like hydration. So just add the rest of the water and mix it for another 6 minutes. So the total mixing time is 10 minutes. And over here, right, we have, well, a sheet of dough, right? Sheet of dough, and that's still rough. It's still like pretty fragile. And then what we want to do is that like we want to separate it into two sheets, right? And then like, we want to um, compound them, right? Compound them like through a roller. And so we want to separate it like kind of like roughly equally, right? Roughly to two, like half, right? And then just put them into the roller and just roll them out. And so so the dough that's coming out should be well stronger, firmer. I think you guys maybe have like noticed that like that the surface of the dough is like smoother than before. So again, like this is like 35% hydration ratio, and then like that's right in the middle of um, the hydration range that this machine can do, and especially is able to do like noodle dough, like well dough that's that's between that's in between like 25% and maybe up to like 45, depending on the kind of flour you use, um, you know, kind of ingredients you use. But that's a wide range of hydration that a noodle machine can do. So it's pretty versatile. So you guys may be able to notice that this machine is like actually well mixing, right? Like making dough, like in the mixer, and at the same time, like working in the dough, right? On the sheeting process. So you can do these two processes at the same time because they're they're separate motors, they're separate motors, and um, so it's like you have a busy day, like making like a bunch of different types of noodles, and then um, it's like once you're done with the batch like in the mixer like you can start like another batch in the mixer, right? So um, that's pretty convenient, like if you're busy and you have to make maybe like um, 500 servings a day, and then you can just keep going from batch to batch. So this is the second combining compounding process. And um, so we usually do like once or twice. For this recipe, like we're doing it twice. And then, so after second combining process, like, you're not gonna, we're not gonna like, put them together anymore. So, um, you know, then so from this point, like, we are kind of worried that this dough sheet is gonna stick together. So we wanna, prevent that by dusting the dough, right? And so, this machine has the what we call like automatic duster, and and then you can actually control the like dusting volume of it as well. If you are like making wetter dough, then you should dust more. Okay, so that was second combining process, and then so at that point, right, at this point, like we can assume that like the gluten structure, like gluten is like well developed, right? Thoroughly developed. So, you know, what we do from this point on is just thin it, right? Thin it to the final thickness where we can start, it, cutting it into noodle strands. And yeah, from this point, like we can go faster, and you know, the faster, like to get to the final thickness. Okay, the mixing is done. And another round of cheating, thinning, and so usually like gradually thinning, like so, we do the thinning process like a couple times to make sure that like the gluten, right, gluten that's been developed like so far is not gonna get damaged by drastic thinning. So that's a gradual thinning process like we're doing, and but we can go faster. Okay, so actually the roller gap that this dough is that went through is at 1.5 millimeter, and when we check the actual thickness, that's 2.1 millimeters. And so there's a difference between roller gap we set and actual thickness, though like kind of like 0.6 millimeter difference. And so that's the rate. Rate of like how much this dough like bounces back after it's gone through a roller gap. And so you kind of like expect that to, well, expands back like by 0.6 millimeter. So we can guess to man like then how what the roller gap we need to set to get to the final thickness, like when it's cut, right? And then um, the cutter we are using is um, this well, number 18, number 18, right? And then like so, the width is 1.7 millimeter. That's fixed, right? That's fixed. But like the final like thickness, like we are controlling by the roller gap, right? So that's like ideal size thickness, like 1.5 millimeter. So that's what we are aiming at. And so this is the cutter by team, right? And then so each group, right? Each group is 1.7 millimeter in width. Okay, and so we're gonna put it in the machine and just set it up there. And we're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut the noodle sheet into the noodle strands, and we hope that like we're gonna get that final thickness right. Yeah, so like it's really like depending on the hydration ratio, depending on the like protein of flour you use, the rate like expand like a bounce back rate, if you will, like bounce back rate is like kind of varies, right? So yeah, it's so you want to like if you like doing the same recipe over and then you can just measure it once and like the size should come out like same over and over. But like if you're making like we're doing like different recipe, then you should yeah measure it um, yeah every time before you start cutting. Okay, so let's measure it, right? So the actual thickness. So you shouldn't like make mistake like by measuring the width instead of thickness. So that's yeah that's 1.5 yeah right there right. Yeah, so it's yeah the machine's very good at like um, portioning the noodles, portion noodles, right? So like that means that like you can change the portion the noodle like automatically, right? But like you can change the noodle size. I mean the portioning size. So serving size, one serving, like well 4.5 ounces, like but like you do that like by actually changing the length, right? Length of noodles, and it's very easy to do it. Making it longer, shorter, and that's maybe too long. Yeah, so that's very easy to do it. Like so, once you set that volume, like length volume, then the margin of error is like just plus minus like maybe 5 grams. So it's very precise. Right? So that's these are like really good yakisoba noodles, and too bad like we can't like let you guys try them. But yeah, but like if you're interested in like trying them out, like and if you happen to be like close to like one of our locations, please let us know, and then we'll try our best to like arrange to have these noodles available for you and for your tasting.